It's been a long time since investors have had to worry about inflation. Now, if you go to the gas pump, the lumber yard, or watch the news, you might be thinking a nickel ain't worth a dime anymore, and you might see that prices are rising faster than expected. In this video, we're going to talk about what that means and what you can do to protect your portfolio. Before you start to worry about how inflation might affect your investments, let's take a closer look at the facts behind the headlines. Brian, first off, can you tell us what exactly is inflation?
While it might sound like cause for panic, inflation simply refers to the gradual rise in prices over time, meaning the dollars you have today won't stretch as far tomorrow. This often happens because when there's more demand than supply, prices will go up. And when an external event like a natural disaster or pandemic happens, it makes it hard for companies to produce enough to keep up with consumer demand. They can raise their prices, resulting in inflation. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. Stable, predictable inflation is actually considered a good sign for a growing economy, and it's something the Fed sets policy to try to achieve. It's hyperinflation or even deflation that we have to worry about.
Now, one thing we need to point out, inflation is rising because prices are increasing faster than usual. But it's useful to know that most measures of inflation compare what's happening right now with what happened a year ago. For example, May's report of 5% increase in prices was comparing it versus May of last year, when the US economy was largely shut down because of COVID-19. So be aware that economic impact of the pandemic is going to distort any year-over-year comparisons for a while. The most important thing is understanding what you should do about it. Now, Brian, what kind of pointers do we have for investors? What should they be considering?
Well, it all depends on how long inflation actually sticks around. Many economists are expecting inflation to increase in the short term, but not really to affect the economy as much as it has in the past, basically calling short-term increases transitory. And the Federal Reserve is keeping a close eye on this situation. If it looks like higher inflation will persist, they may take action to keep it in check. In fact, 7 of the 18 policymakers on the Fed have already indicated that they think there's going to be at least one interest rate increase in 2022. Either way, the important thing is to avoid making knee-jerk reactions. If you make big moves now to hedge against inflation, you can lose big if the inflation does in fact turn out to be temporary, as many on the Fed believe. If you're worried about long-term inflation, you may find it appropriate to make some adjustments to your financial planning, such as considering higher expenses in your long-term budget and income forecasts. That all depends on individual factors like what's in your portfolio and when you are planning to retire.
There's definitely not a one-size-fits-all scenario, and this is where it helps to get personalized advice from a financial professional. We're keeping a close eye on what's happening with the economy, and together we can create a plan that makes sense for your needs. If you have a question about what we've discussed, or you'd like to speak to us personally about what's going on, please reach out to us. We're happy to help out.